Hi, I'm Marcel, and welcome to me screaming into the void, mostly about books. I am still counting down to Women in Translations month in August by going through all of the 100 best Women in Translation books based on Biblio's list. Look at my other video to see the whole project, and wanting all of you to write in the comment sections your favorite books written by women in translation, and let's see if we have changed the list a bit. So on place 96 we have the book Translation as Transhumans by Muriel Genzel, and this is an author. She works mainly as a translator in France, but has family who speaks a lot of different languages. And this book is a set of stories from her life where she tries to explain her ideas and her way of understanding the role of translation. So she, for example, starts with telling about how her father received letters from family abroad and how he then tried to translate them to the children who didn't speak that language, including herself. So she has a very personal way of talking about different things that you need to think about when translating. On the place 95, we have The Weight of Things by Marianne Fritz, and this is an absolutely wonderful book if you like surrealism. I enjoyed it. I laughed myself silly, but I do understand that this book isn't for everyone. It's a book about three people, Berta, Wilhelm and Wilhelmina, where Berta and Wilhelm were in love with one another, but Berta was pregnant with a child, and people didn't know really who was the father. And then Wilhelmina came into the mix and all of that good stuff. It's told non-linear, and yeah, it's absolutely hilarious, but it's also so filled with surrealistic examples. And I'm going to just read a quote. Okay, so this quote will help you realize if this is the type of writing that you enjoy or not. Wilhelm, who had always compensated easily for the errors of other drivers and the behavioural abnormalities of pedestrians, animals and such like, to the benefit of the parties concerned, was praised at times by one or the other of the gentlemen he steered through the city's maze of streets, or even hundreds of kilometres into the countryside, and this praise would plunge him into deep uncertainty. So it's that type of book. And if you enjoy books that go just going through the ride, you might actually enjoy this book. On the place 94, we have The Histories of Bees by Maja Lunde. This is a book very focused on climate change. It is the first out of 4 books that we called the Climate Quartet. And it tells 3 parallel stories about someone who starts farming bees and honeys in the 1800s, someone who is losing their bees, being a bee farmer in 2007, and someone who is working as a manual pollinator that you need because all of the bees has died. So it's a quite a heavy book in some sense, because it does deal with climate change and the consequences of climate change. But what I so enjoyed about it is that it focuses on how climate change happens because people have good intent. All three stories are told centered around parents and their relationship with their children, and how parents want to build a better life for their children, and therefore chooses to do the things that they choose to do, even if the consequences might be kind of impactful on, for example, the climate. So it talks sort of very empathetically about why do people do the things that they do, even when sort of research tells us that what they're doing isn't good for example, the climate. On spot 93, we have La Femme de Guy, or Guy's Women, by Madeleine Baudot. And this book is about a wife who discovers that her husband has been unfaithful, and all of what that does to her psychologically, and sort of the emotional journey that she then goes on. And what I enjoyed about that book is that she puts her anger where it should be, which is on her husband. She is not really that angry at the other woman. So the book, even if it's simply just about this woman and her relationship with her husband and the other woman after an infidelity. And on spot 92, we have Like Water for Chocolate by Laura Esquivel. This was such a funny, beautiful story about a young girl who is the youngest girl in her family, and therefore, due to some kind of tradition, is not allowed to get married, but learns how to cook from her aunt, who was not allowed to get married. Oh. So the book talks a lot about the family traditions, both good and bad. It has a lot about these sort of the food that and the recipes that she has received from her aunt, and a lot about how when she is preparing food, what she is feeling when she is preparing this food influences people when they are eating it. So on the one hand, there is this love letter to what she has received from her family and from the traditions in her family through the recipes and the food. On the other hand, she is absolutely devastated that she is not allowed to be married, especially when she is in love with a man, and the consequence of sort of having to carry the burden of being the unwed caregiver. So how sort of traditions both have positive and negative sides to it, and dealing with that in a generational way. And especially the recipes that it just stops to give a recipe, but you don't really mind because that is part of it. Laura Esquivel is Mexican, and this book has a heavy emphasis on magical realism. For example, as I said, with how if she is sad or if she's happy when she is preparing the food, the people who will eat the food will feel her happiness or feel her despair. Just to go through all of the others, Madeleine Bordeaux is from Belgium, Maya Lunde is Norwegian, Marianne Fritz is Austrian, and Marielle Gansel is French. So that was the next books that I read on this list, going through all of them. And please write in the comments, what are your favorite women in translation? So let's together create a list of the best women in translation for August. And thank you for listening to me screaming into the void.